We are recording there. Can you hear me?
Got it.
I can hear you. Let's get it.
Roll.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Tina and Anderson Show. This is episode 18. And thank you if you guys are still listening to us. I appreciate it. We're husband and wife, and we talk about biblical marriage, traditional marriage, why we believe that works, and we speak against the red pill and feminism. We also talk about family.
Family,
and life.
parenting, kids,
Life.
life,
Pretty much anything
finances.
Yeah, pretty much anything that we are experiencing, and we are not experts. We just like to talk about we just tell you our opinion.
Yeah, we find a video
and what
then
we've
we
learned,
work off of it.
What we've learned, and what we feel works for us, because it's been working for us. We've been married for 22 years. No, we'll be 22 years this year. And so we have a little bit of experience when it comes to parenting, and we've been parents. In a week from this recording of this video, we will be parents for 25 years. It'll be our 25th year anniversary as parents. Our oldest will be 25, but I like to say it's our anniversary as parents.
Yeah, we steal her birthday from her and say it's our anniversary to becoming parents.
So, what I wanted to talk about today is, I figure we can, I mean, we talked about it in many of our videos, but I feel this is going to be the basis of, a podcast going on, for the future. I figure we just talk about it a lot now. We'll talk about more in the future, obviously, but today we're going to talk about just biblical marriage. We're going to go over some Bible verses. We're going to hear a couple of opinions from other people and what they are saying about biblical marriage. And then we are going to read an article about somebody famous who has discovered biblical marriage and is implementing that in her life. And you're not really going to believe who it is and who she's married, I don't know if she's married to him or going to be married to him, but when I saw this, I'm like, wait a minute, they're together? But it's pretty cool that she has, really seen how a relationship is through the Bible and how it can help in a relationship, because our Creator gave us the blueprint. He created us, so He knows what's best for us. So we follow that. It's going to be I really don't believe anybody has really followed like the biblical marriage and then was like, yeah, I don't like this. It doesn't work. Especially if it's both doing it. I mean, if it's one person, I understand it can be hard. But when it's both, I really doubt anybody in history has ever been like, yeah, this doesn't work.
Yeah.
If they're both doing it.
Well, because, God has written the Bible was written for our good.
Yeah.
There's a reason why God says to do this and God says not to do this. It's because it's for the good of us, for the good of our marriage, for the good of our family, for the good of society. Like it's like he said, it's the literal blueprint.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you get a car and you look at the manual and you're like, yeah, I'm not going to do the manual. I'm not going to do what the manual says.
And then you wonder why.
When it's like the creator of the car made this manual. It said, this is the best care for it. And you're like, no, I'm not going to do that. Which is like pretty much every car owner.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not going to go with the manual. We're not going to go with the manual is. I mean, usually I only look at the manual when there's a symbol I don't know.
Well,
what's this symbol mean?
Well, you're going to look at the manual if like your car does something that you're like, I don't know what the heck that means or what is that? What's that sound? Blah, blah, blah. So, I think like a lot of people who don't start their marriage off with in mind that they're going to have a biblical marriage. Probably at the beginning, when your marriage comes up to challenges, maybe they'll refer to the Bible to see, like, well, what does the Bible say?
Yeah.
And then maybe, that's kind of like where it starts.
Yeah, it
you
could
know?
be. It could be.
Yeah.
People are like, y'all willing to try anything.
I know, right? Like,
Let's
what
get
is
back
it?
to the manual. Let's get back to basics.
Yeah.
But modern day feminism and modern, the red pill and all of that stuff, they want to go off script. They want to do something different, So it doesn't work.
They take bits and pieces.
Yeah.
Like something from over here, something from over there, something from over here, and then put it all together and claim that it makes sense. But
Right.
if you look at it, and then especially if you look at it biblically, it does not make sense.
No.
It's very contradictory, both of them. When you look at, what feminism says or what the red pill says, they're very, the teachings are contradictory.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can read stuff in the Old Testament, and then you can read stuff in the New Testament. Basically, what it is, the New Testament is, Jesus fulfilled the law of Moses. There are things in the Old Testament that that really reflects over into the New Testament, but we're not bound by the law of Moses anymore. That's why you don't see us like slaughtering sheep as a sacrifice.
Yeah,
we don't have to do that because Jesus was the ultimate sacrifice, so we don't have to do those sacrifices anymore. So I'm gonna go over. There's one here. So look, there's things when it comes to referring to husband, and there's one referring to wife, and then there's some verses where it's like both of them. So I got a list here, and I went through them, and I'm gonna go with the first one. So this one I've talked about in I think it was the last episode. The last episode was about Gen Zs. I think it was the one before that. Whereas Proverbs 18:22, it says, "He who finds a wife find what is good and receives favor from the Lord." So it is good that a man finds a wife. It's a good thing. Mm-hmm. Well, right now, you got the red pill talking about, things that when it comes to having a wife, if she does one thing wrong, leave her. I've listened to these red pill guys all the time because I do agree with a lot of things what they say, and it's entertaining. But there are some times where we're just like,
no,
yeah,
no,
oh, she did this, leave her. And it's like, you know what? No, why don't we talk about it first, work this out, because that's what you're supposed to do in a marriage. Because if you find, he who finds a wife finds a good thing. What does it mean when you lose a good wife? I mean, she could be a good wife.
And it says that you find favor from the Lord. So
yeah.
It's saying the Bible teaches you that, marriage is good and marriage is a blessing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it says here, Hebrews 13:4, marriage should be honored by all, and the marriage bed kept pure, for God will judge the adulterer and all the sexually immoral. So all right. So I went to the gym. So I was up in Maine for a couple of days working, and me and my apprentice, we went to the gym. And one of the things he said to me, he goes, "Why do you keep your hat low when you're working out? I noticed that." And I said, look, there's a lot of girls there, and girls kind of wear revealing things at the gym.
Can they see us or no?
No, they can't see that.
They can't see. They
only
can see us.
They only can see what's in here.
Oh, see, I don't know these things.
They can't see that.
Okay.
All right. So
sorry.
So so girls wear some things, some revealing stuff at the gym.
tight,
and
revealing,
I'm not gonna
short.
go around and be like, hey, you shouldn't wear this. I mean, they can wear. It's a free country. They can wear whatever they want. But I'm just protecting myself. People are like, well, just don't look, wandering eyes. Look, it was a ton of people at the gym. I gotta look around when it comes to. It was a new gym I never been to, and I gotta look for if there's a piece of equipment. When I gotta look around, right? And when I'm working out in front of a mirror, I can see all the people around me. I just want to, and I'm there to focus on me, focus on my workout, and I just don't need the distraction. And also, I'm a man. My wife knows this. Men look. I'm not looking.
Well, especially when you're being tempted.
Right. I'm not looking and then undressing her in my eyes. I'm not doing that.
But it's not like you're not going to notice the girl in the bikini top in the little tiny booty shorts.
Right. So
you're going to notice because you're a man.
Right.
Like,
so I just kind of do that. So I'm just like there doing my workout. I don't see anybody. I just focus on me. Obviously I see people when I'm walking around. I'm trying to look for equipment. It happens. Right. But I'm focused. When I'm looking for equipment, I'm focused. I'm not like, oh, who's that? Oh, who's that? Like, I'm focused, right? When I'm working out, I want to be focused, so I just keep my hat down. And it just, it's glorified that, it's okay if men look, people like, check her out, it's nice. I'm like, it's like I'm not gonna. I've worked with guys who are married and they see a pretty girl and they just make it so obvious, and it's like, bro. So I'm like, sometimes like I'm embarrassed. I'm like, bro, seriously? Like, you're making it so obvious.
Well, half the time it's probably inappropriate too.
Yeah.
Like we're working.
And we get, God wants us men to just keep our eyes only for our wives, and obviously for women too, and
for women too. What do you mean?
Keep their eyes to themselves.
For women also to keep
their eyes. Yeah, see, and also, I think
like
there's something
matters.
I think there's something in the Bible that says women should not correct their husbands during a podcast.
No, I was just trying to understand what you were saying.
So it's just I'm trying to collect my thoughts, and it's kind of hard right now. I'm trying to collect my thoughts while saying something. It's like I want to say something, and I don't know why I'm having a hard time. Probably because. I mean, we're talking about like not looking at the opposite sex. I don't know. Maybe I just feel weird about it. I don't know. But yeah, so like, all right, for example, we love watching 1883, then we watch 1923, and we watch Yellowstone, right? And we that's our dog. We love those shows. But those shows have nude scenes. So we watch it through VidAngel. Right? And it just cuts right through it. Still can watch the show. We still get the premise of the show. It's not like you need the sex scenes to understand what's going on. So that's what I'm saying. Marriage should be honored by all. So I'm honoring my marriage. I'm honoring my wife. And basically being like, she's the only woman that my eyes should see. That's it. That she's the only woman I want to stare at. Her beauty is the only beauty that I want to admire. There's nobody else.
See, and like what like woman or wife or married team would disagree with that? Like, oh, I don't agree with what the Bible says about marriage. Like, what you don't agree.
Well, they'll agree about that, but maybe not other things.
Yeah.
Well, for men, here's another one. It says Proverbs 31:10. It says, "A wife of noble character who can find? She is worth far more than rubies." So, you find a good wife, a wife that will have your back, a wife that will sacrifice her body for your children, who will make your house a home. Because come on, guys, we could buy a house and just have a couch and a TV and we good, right?
Like a mattress on the floor.
And we'd be good.
You'd be good.
right? Because we don't have that. We don't have that natural ability like a woman to make the home feel more comfortable, to feel cozy, to feel welcoming. We don't have that ability like women do. You know, there are some men that probably are good at that,
Yeah,
but that's a handful.
They like doing it.
Yeah, that's a handful. But when I'm talking about majority, generally, men don't have that ability like women.
Yeah.
So that's you know, and that's and the woman is special because a woman, like, you know, like a lot of like when men are at war, when men were at war, they always thought about the woman at home. That, like, that's what helped them. And if they didn't have a girl, they thought about their mom. I mean, it's just they didn't think about their dad. They didn't think about their boys back at home. Like, I can't wait to go back home, play baseball with my boys. Nah, they're thinking like they didn't have a girlfriend or a wife. They're like, I can't wait to go home, hug my mom, have her cooking. Or like, I just can't wait to get back to my girl and hug her and feel her and touch her. Like, that's what helps men keep going in hard times. And when men are like, when they're at work, they like to come home to something soft, especially if you're in the trade.
Something soft.
Especially in your trade, when you're out just amongst a bunch of other rugged, smelly, dirty men
in the mud.
You know what I mean? You just want to come home to something soft.
I guess that's me.
Yeah,
I'm soft.
So I mean, this is just some of these verses that just speak truth. You know, it's so true what these verses say.
I like that the one that's up the top now, because you know how, like, you know, we talk about women submitting to their husbands, and then the number one argument is always, oh, why? Because he gets to rule over you and he gets to control you. No. Look what else it says.
Yeah, I mean, this is what we're saying. This is what I'm saying. Some women would pick and choose.
Pick and choose.
This is the one they would not want.
Yeah, if you're talking to a feminist, they're not going to tell you this verse right here.
Yeah, Colossians 3:18-19 says, "Wives, submit yourselves to your husbands, as it is fitting to the Lord." Mm-hmm. Right, and then it says, "Husbands, love your wives and do not be harsh with them."
So it's like the husbands need to be good to their wives, and the wives need to submit to their husbands because they submit to his leadership, because he submits to God.
Yeah,
like it's all lined up.
Right. I wouldn't want my daughters to submit to a man who is harsh with them.
Yeah. Then that guy doesn't deserve our daughter's submission. Yeah. This is what we're trying to, like, it's like you think the Bible teaches, like, whoever you're dating, just make sure that they control you. Like, no, right. Opposite.
It's like if you have a good teacher and the teacher's the boss of the classroom. You submit to your teacher, you listen to your teacher, you do what the teacher says. You submit to them.
You trust them to run the classroom.
Or when you go to work, you submit to your boss. Your boss is a hierarchy. You might have a good relationship with your boss or even be friends with your boss, but you submit to their position as their boss and do what you're told.
Their authority.
You know, so it's like that. But unlike a boss and unlike a teacher, a husband will sacrifice his life for you. Mm-hmm. You're submitting to a man who will give his life for you. And feminists will tell women it's better to submit to a boss that will fire you on a dime. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, other than your man that will sacrifice his life for you. Mm-hmm. It's better to do that.
So trust the leadership of your boss, who maybe you've worked for him for a year, but don't submit to the leadership of your husband that you've known for however long, you dated him for however long, now you've been married for however long, and don't trust his leadership, but trust your boss that you've been working for 6 months.
Right.
Like, it's the craziest concept.
So I'm going to read this one video.
Get it together.
I'm going to read this one verse here, then we're going to go to a video. So, but this kind of goes with it. It says, husbands, love your wives just as Christ loved the church. This is Ephesians 5:25-26. And give himself up for her to make her holy, cleansing her by the washing with water through the word. So what it says here, love your wives just as Christ loved the church. What did Christ do for the church? Church is the body. We are like us, the people. We're talking about the body.
Building.
We're not talking about the building, and then the you got the cardinals and the pope. We're talking about the people. It's the church, right?
People make up the church.
So
the body of.
So what did
Christ.
he do for the church? He died.
He sacrificed.
He died. Sacrificed himself for the church, for people for the whole world, right? But he loves the church, the people who serve him, who have a relationship with him, right? That's what they're calling husbands to do. Love their wives like God loved the church.
That's the difference.
Like Christ loved the church.
That's the difference between all the different situations where you can submit to somebody. Your husband is worthy of your submission.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, they're both, the husband and the wife are both being held to a standard here. It's not just one is being held to a higher standard than the other. They're both being held to a standard, which both are good, because both play a role. Even though the husband is the leader, he doesn't have a wife who will bear him children. Who's he going to lead? Right? Who's gonna make the tough decisions? Who's gonna make things all right when things hit the fan? We're called to do that. We're called to feel the brunt of all of that. So when it comes to our wife and kids, it's a softer landing for them. We're gonna deal with the brunt of it first. We're gonna let it hit us first. So it just rolls off of us, and then they just get hit with little pebbles. It doesn't hurt as much for them. It's got to hurt more for us. This is why mental health is important, because we deal with a lot of this stuff, because we don't want to give it to our wives and our children. We don't want to do that. It'll make us feel worse. So we deal with we take the brunt of it. So here's this. We're gonna go over this first video, and we're gonna hear what he has to say about biblical marriage, and then we'll talk about it.
If you want your marriage to flourish, obey God in your marriage. So how do you care for your marriage? Here's how you care for your marriage. Husbands, love your wife like Jesus loved his church and gave himself up for her. Wives, honor and respect your husband and follow him as the head of the marriage, just as the church follows Christ as the head of the church. The reason that a lot of marriages don't flourish is because husbands and wives ain't doing that.
Nope.
And they're like, why is our marriage so broken? Because you're doing it your way. If you want to care for your marriage, do it God's way. It's a form of self-care. You want a great marriage? Then obey God in your marriage.
Yeah. So, basically the two verses we just talked about.
Yeah.
If the wives submit to their husband, but their husbands they got to honor their wives, care for their wives. We got these roles here that work together. They work hand in hand. It's hard to honor your wife who doesn't submit to you. It's hard to submit to a husband who doesn't honor you. It goes hand in hand. You got to do those things and make those things work together.
Yeah. And some people what's going to happen to like a baseball team if there's like two head coaches?
Yeah.
It's not going to work. You can have a head coach and an assistant.
Yeah.
Sure, that'll work, because there needs to be a clear leader. There has to be someone who says the final say. And then the people will say like, well, you both decide. That's not possible. Somebody says, okay, yes, let's do that.
Yeah.
Like, we can have a conversation, We can talk about something. We got to hash something out, figure the best way to go about doing something. Somebody has to say, yeah, let's go with that one. Let's do that one. What are our options here? Okay, let's go with option B. Like, somebody has to, but then, like, I'm going to agree with it.
Yeah.
I'm going to agree with it. And if I don't agree with it, then we're back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, somebody has to be the final say. This is what I don't understand. You think that there can be two leaders in a marriage? It's not going to work. You're going to butt heads.
Yeah. I mean,
You're
when
going
you
to
say
butt
you
heads.
both decide, then what if you both decide on something different? You got to work it out. You got to talk
Yeah.
about it,
Yeah.
you know, and then you got to make a decision.
I mean, I just think it makes things easier, too, to know that, like, you can't decide anything without me, but you are final decision. And then that clears up any confusion here.
Right.
Otherwise, how do we know the end of the conversation? How do we know the final decision? Like, somebody has to say.
Right.
And if you're constantly fighting for the leadership role and the person to be the final say, I just don't get how that's going to work.
Yeah, and we can talk about this so much, and there's still going to be people out there
Yeah.
who they're just not going to get it.
They don't get it.
They you know, women do. There are going to be women out there who refuse to submit to their husband and let him lead. They want to be the leader, or they want to be as equal in decision making when it's like, it's not like you're not part of the decision.
You're equally
it's-
valuable.
But sometimes the husbands are making decisions or based on logic, and women, you know, can be logical, but a lot of times it's based on feeling. Why do you think most of the people who have credit card debt are women?
Uh-oh.
The biggest consumers,
He said it.
the biggest consumers, or, you know, people who buy, purchasing, are women.
Are women. I don't think we're shocked to hear
I was
that.
telling Tina the other day, I want to get, so I have a charger for my batteries. It charges one battery at a time,
for his tools. Yeah.
you know, and I was thinking I could get this tool that charged 2 batteries at a time, and it was like almost $300, but it was on sale. And then I was like, okay. But I was like, let me see how much is it on eBay. And it was a little bit cheaper. And then I was like, look, there's this one that charges 6 at a time. Let me see how much that is on eBay. And then I was like, wow, it's I can get it for a lot cheaper. And then I was thinking, do I really need it right now? No, my charger is working.
You went through like a whole conversation with yourself.
You know, so I didn't buy it. Look, do I make impulse buys sometimes? Yes. Once in a great while I do. But a lot of times I'm thinking, look, my wife kind of be like that too, because your dad's an accountant. So you had a life where you had things, but it's like, we will have it when we can get it. Type of thing, you know,
Yeah.
where I never lived like that, where like I didn't have much because we just couldn't get it.
Yeah, or
You know what I
like
mean?
my dad was always very logical with
Yeah.
the financial. So like, he bought an above ground pool, but it was either that year or for the next 2 years
Yeah.
we didn't go on vacation.
Yeah.
You know, so it was like, you want this pool? All right. The money that would normally be going to vacation is now going to the pool.
Right.
So, and who needs vacation when you have a pool in your backyard? Right? Like, unless, I mean, we need the ocean. But
Right. Well, for
Yeah.
me, it's like we didn't have a pool because we couldn't afford one.
yeah.
So it's like now I'm making money. You know, it's like I could have a pool. Let me get it right now. Where I have to be like, I can't. I want it right now. I mean, there are things I can go out and buy right now,
I think it's like,
but it's like I have to be logic and be like, I can't. Just because I can get it right now, I shouldn't.
but it like for us too, where we went so many years where like we struggled. You give a person who's been struggling for years, you give them money and they're like, oh, we can buy all this
Yeah,
stuff.
no, you
know,
wanna
it's
spend
kind of
it.
like like athletes, like professional athletes. You know, it's like money right away.
Yeah.
And they're like, they buy
Yeah.
like 3 houses and like, you know,
Well,
it's
they
like,
die by a lot of times they die by 1,000 cuts because it's not like this big purchase that makes them go bankrupt. It's all these little purchases.
all these little things.
But
It's like
I know.
impulsive.
Right. I know we went off on a rant.
We're a little off.
So sorry, rant, but yeah. So it definitely, what he was saying in the video definitely works together. And let's see. Let's go over here. There's another verse here. So Proverbs has a lot of good verses. This is Proverbs 16:9. In their hearts, humans plan for their course, but the Lord establishes their step. So we might have a plan, right? But God's the one that set our steps. God is the one that helps us get through these plans. And if our plans are according to God's will, you know, for example, you know, I'm not going to be like, look, we're going to have a mansion by the sea. That might not be in God's plan. Right. I know there are people out there like, you can have whatever you want. Yeah, it can. Right.
If it's God's plan.
Right. But we want to have, you know, we want to live in Maine, but we also want to continue with this type of podcast and ministry and grow. So we have this plan with this podcast, but we pray God could lead this in ways that we never thought. 5 years from now, we could be like, we never thought we could be here. You know, we had plans for 5 years, but we didn't know we were going to go here because God leads our steps, because we have a plan, but God could bless us through it and be like, listen, they've been faithful. They're doing very good in the gift that I have given them, and I'm going to bless them in this way. And it could be an amazing thing. I mean, our pastor started the church, 2002?
I don't.
We're building an addition that's going to hold 500 people.
Yeah.
He 23 years ago, he's like, he probably never thought God would lead him this 20 years later. So, but he had this vision to lead a church, to have missionaries, have a church that creates disciples and creates missionaries, because we have a lot of missionaries in our church. And we do a lot of discipleship, but he probably never thought God would do this.
I think that that verse, it also kind of plays with what we were saying about you're not always actually thinking with your head, because this one says in their hearts humans plan their course. So it's like it's off of feeling.
Yeah.
It doesn't say in their heads or in their brains,
Right.
or with their logic.
Because there is a Bible verse that says the heart can be deceitful.
Yeah, exactly. So it's basically saying you can't, you have to rely on God, because your feelings are going to get in the way of logic.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah, you might feel a certain way, but but you react on that feeling. It might not be the right choice.
And God's going, no. It's going to go down the wrong course. And you don't know, but God knows.
Yeah.
You know?
Now, and I've said this a couple of times too. It says here, Genesis 2:18, it is not good. It's not good for man to be alone. I will make a helper suitable for him.
There's so much about marriage.
Yeah. So I know a lot of red pill guys saying marriage is bad. Don't get married. Women just want you for your money, or they'll marry you and then leave you and take half your stuff. It might as well just be alone.
That's so bad.
No, I mean, God, God says here, it's not good for man to be alone.
Yeah, we were not created to be alone. We are social beings.
Right. And I know when it comes with the law, marriage has definitely ruined it for a lot of men, because the law has not really favored men.
That's just a fact.
But the marriage is more than that. Marriages existed long before even the law even got into it. You know, the law was intended to help us when it comes to like tax breaks and things like that. But when it comes to divorce, you know, that's when it doesn't favor the men. But I think things would be a lot different if the divorce rates were a lot lower. But then again, people say that it's easier for women to divorce men because at the end they get a lot out of the marriage. You know, so that's why if the women didn't get a lot out of the marriage, they probably wouldn't divorce. They were probably more willing to work it out.
There's a lot.
So
there's a lot of money in divorce
Right.
too when it comes to the courts themselves.
So we'll see how the
And
marriage.
everything like
We'll see
that.
how the divorce rates. We'll see if the divorce rates drop in Florida. Now that Florida passed that law that if she leaves, if she initiates the marriage because she's leaving or because she cheated, then it's that she won't get anything. So
They passed that.
yes, a lot of women are mad about that.
Oh, are we now? Interesting. What one next?
So let's see. Okay, so here's 1 Peter 3:7. It says, "Husbands, in the same way, be considerate as you live with your wives, and treat them with respect." Now this
This
is
is the part the feminists really grab onto.
as the weaker partner and as heirs with you of the gracious gift of life, so that nothing will hinder your prayers. Now this is what version is this? This is NIV. I think if I go to a different, I'm gonna go with let's say the King James version. Let's see what the King James version if it says that. So this was 1 Peter 3:7 says, "Likewise, ye husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge, giving honor unto the wife as unto the weaker vessel."
The weaker
So
vessel.
weaker vessel, that's what it says in King James. And I'll go to one more version. I'll go to New Living Translation. Let's see what this verse says here. It also says, "She may be weaker than you are, but she is your equal partner in God's gift of new life." So even though my wife is, even though my wife is weaker physically than
I
me,
am very, very much so.
we are equal in God's eyes. We are, God sees, we are God's gift. God, like I'm not more important to God than my wife is. We're both equally important to God, right? And I know it says equal partner in God's gift of new life. So I know in the past we said we don't like the word partner, but when we're talking about partner in marriage, we're not partners in marriage. We do partner up on things, but she's not my partner. Partner is like she's doing the same thing that I'm doing. She's taking half of it. I'm taking the other half. We just have different roles, and we don't keep count of who's doing more than the other. We don't.
No.
I mean, I was out there chopping wood, and my wife's just putting seeds for our vegetable garden. I'm not sitting there going, I'm doing more than you right now.
Yeah, like you need to step it up, Tina. Like I'm literally sitting there doing the starter kit for starting my seeds for the garden. So I'm literally just like poking holes and putting seeds.
Yeah.
Poking holes.
She's
and putting
getting ready.
Seeds.
She's getting stuff like
I'm getting ready the stuff ready for the garden that's going to give us like free food.
Right.
And he's over here chopping wood, thinking about like next winter.
So, well, that comes to another thing. Like, say with the garden last year, right? I built it. I built the garden. I dug the holes. I put in the posts.
You did all
I
the
put
hard
in the
labor.
posts. I drilled in the framing and the mesh. I dug it to level out the flower beds.
We
And
broke a tool trying to dig
Right.
the holes.
Yeah, the auger.
The auger.
And then she came and helped me put in the dirt inside and the cardboard and everything inside the flower beds, and then she planted the seeds, right?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't sit here going like, wow, I did all this work and all you're doing is just planting seeds.
Yeah.
Well, that's easy.
Like
No,
next,
we partner.
next year you're doing the hard
So we
work.
partnered
Like,
up. We partnered up with the garden, right? But we didn't sit here going, who's doing more than who?
right. It has to
Like,
be
I'm going to
equal.
do my part. Yeah, it's probably going to be more physical and harder than what, but for her, she has more patience than I do when it comes to planting the seeds and letting things grow and watering them.
Mm-hmm.
So she's better than that, right? Better in that than me. So yeah, that's a good Bible verse right here. So before we go to a few more, let's go to another video. So this is a girl you says
I think she's one of the girls from Girls Gone Bible.
Yeah,
I
Girls
think.
Gone-
Correct me in the
Girls
comments
Gone
if I'm
Bible,
wrong.
play on words right there, man.
Girls Gone Bible.
Yeah. All right, here we go.
People think men leading their wives is kind of like asserting their dominance, like being dominant. And people will be like, men get to be the leaders and do this. I truly believe that men have the short end of the stick when it comes to that. Men are supposed to love their wives the way that Christ loved the church. Do you know what Christ did for the church? He died. Like, you literally have to be willing to die for your wife and your family.
Mm-hmm.
All of your boyish, selfish desires, needs, wants, all of it doesn't matter. Like, it's out the window and your family comes first.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
Christ-like sacrifice. It's a lot. It's heavy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean exactly what I was saying.
Yeah. So yeah, ditto.
Yeah, exactly what I was saying. Like, and we're literally, we would put ourselves in harm's way for our family, and and men get dogged, Well, we saw a video the other day, or the cackling heads from The View. Do we need men?
Oh yeah, we should have included that video over here. And it's a video in the background of like a man
Working on the oil rig.
working the oil rigs and working a whole machinery by himself, and he's covered in
When it comes to infrastructure, it's mostly men. Men are keeping these lights on.
Mm-hmm.
Men built this house.
Mm-hmm.
Men built this microphone. Men plowed our roads this winter. Men paved our roads.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, and we're talking majority.
Yeah.
If you know like one woman who like does snow plowing or is in construction, awesome.
Yeah.
That's one woman.
Yeah,
How many men do you know that are in construction? It's the
I've-
majority of that profession
Yeah.
are men. Fact.
I've been in the
Fact.
trade. I've been in the trade for about 16 years. And the amount of women I've seen out on any job site that I've been on, I can literally count on my two hands.
Yeah.
15
many.
years.
It's not many.
And I've seen women, and some of them are good workers. Some are some other ones were really smart, very intelligent. There are some where, like, when it comes to like the code, I would call her and ask her, because I know she would know it, because she was that good at it. And then there were some that were kind of slow, not really that good.
Maybe kind of hold you back a little bit.
Not like I wouldn't want to work with her. She's kind of slow, and but there are some that we and there was one that a lot of us stayed away from, because she's had a history of getting men in trouble for really things they didn't do. It was kind of like her words against theirs, and her words were the truth. So a lot of guys caught wind of that, and nobody really talked to her on the job site. She was like alone,
It was like dangerous.
because people were like, we're not going to risk.
Your career, your family,
Yeah.
any of that.
So,
I mean, but like going back to the video about how she was like, men get the short end of the stick. They are supposed to sacrifice themselves. Now imagine, like, because we've talked about this before on other videos, and how, like, you cannot bring selfishness into a marriage.
Yeah.
Imagine you marry a man who's extremely selfish. Do you think that he's going to sacrifice himself for you? Probably not. And then that sets the whole marriage off kilter.
Yeah.
Because that's his main promise.
Yeah.
Is supposed to be like, I'm gonna take care of you. I'm gonna lead. You can trust me to lead.
Yeah.
You can put it on my shoulders. I'm going to make the right decisions for our family. And, like, I would die doing all of that for
Right.
you and for the family. You marry a guy who has the opposite mindset, like, first off, I mean, you married him, and now, like, you think you have to submit to him. But it's like, he really hasn't earned your submission, because he's a selfish person in himself. You see how it sets everything off.
Yeah.
So that's why, like, it's so important to use dating as, like, finding the right guy.
Yeah,
You
like
know?
and like submitting is like, do you trust him? Do you feel safe with him?
Right.
Do you feel like he'll take care of you? Do you feel like if things hit the fan, he will find a way to fix it? Do you think he will always be a hard worker? And do you think he'll lift you up in whatever you want to do? Whether it's, stay home or start a small little business or, whatever it is, you know what I mean? It's just, that's what it is. It's like, do you feel that he will do things like that for you? And if you do, you would naturally submit to a man like that, naturally, because like, all right, here's a man who's gonna work his butt off, make this family prosperous. He will always protect me, make me feel safe. He'll be a good father to our children. I trust him to make the right decisions, and if he does make the wrong one, he'll correct it, and he'll make it right. I mean, that when a man is like that, I don't think a woman would have any problem submitting to him, unless she has an ego trip, and she's like, no, I want to be part of, I want to make as much money as him. I want to have my own career too.
You can't be in competition with your spouse. That's another thing.
No.
When both of you think that you're going to take on the leadership role, you're going to be in constant competition with each other. When
Right.
that should be the opposite. You should never be in competition with each other, and you should always be lifting each other up and being each other's, like, number one fan.
Right.
Like, it should be the opposite.
Right.
When he's made decision he wanted to start his own business, I was right there.
Right.
I wasn't like, you can't do this. Like, okay, so if I wanted to be the leader of the household, I'd be, like, talking that down, because, like, I want to start my own business. Like, I want to be ahead of him.
Right.
So I'm going to be like, oh, no, you shouldn't do, you're going to fail. No, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. Blah, blah, and then constantly knocking him down just so I could build myself up so I could be, the lead of the family. Like, it's not going to work if you're in competition against each other.
Yeah, I
because
watched.
You each want to be the leader.
Yeah, I saw this video of this woman who was talking about how she helped build her husband's business up, and she was doing photography on the side, and she said it was hard to build up her photography business because she took so much time helping build her husband's business. And it's like, okay, like you're gonna benefit from this.
Yeah,
Like,
that's the thing. Like, you're fighting each other, but why?
you're helping his business like grow. You're benefiting from it.
Yeah.
But she wanted this photography business to also be well, because she wanted to make a lot of money from this photography business. Like, she wanted to make as much money as he was making.
It started to become a competition, clearly.
But it's like, his money is your money. Your money is his money. It's like your money's together.
It's
So
just
like,
equal.
so she ended up divorcing him.
No.
And then lo and behold, she regretted it. because she didn't live in the nice house anymore. She didn't have all that money anymore. So it's it's like you really can't be in competition. You got to support your husband. I mean, this guy was working his butt. Without even knowing she was feeling like this guy's like, my wife's helping me to build this business. This is so great. This is gonna help our family be financially stable, debt free, build legacy for our family. And not realizing, here she is, like, jealous and mad, like he's building his business and I can't even build mine. I'm gonna leave him. And he's like, he was probably sitting there going, I thought I was doing a good thing.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I think that in that particular situation, I mean, once again, communication, because it's like that probably could have been organized better.
Yeah.
And it's definitely not to say like, well, she shouldn't have her own business if he has his own business. No, you maybe shouldn't have been starting them up at the same time, maybe.
Right.
Maybe just coordinate that a little bit better with each other.
Right.
So the two businesses weren't fighting each other. Like,
I mean, if I don't know what kind of business he was doing, but I would think like a lot of businesses have a social media. She could have used her photography skills.
Yeah, to help with the social media aspect of the business.
And
Yeah.
still have other clients on the side. That's the way she could do both. So here's an important one, because I think this is how men know that their moms can't really tell them what to do anymore. Once they get married,
They cleave.
You can't be what is it? What do you call it? A boy mom or
Mama's boy?
Mama's boy? Yes.
A boy mom.
I don't know.
I don't know. The words are just not coming.
You can't be a mama's boy, right? So this one, it says here, it's Ephesians 5:31. It says, a man leaves his father and mother and is joined to his wife, and two are united into one. So now, like, you leave your mother and father's house, right? Your mother and your father, you live by their rules, especially if you're living under their roof. Right? Now you live with your wife. You have your own roof. You're the leader of the home, and your wife is your wise counsel. You can't let your mom be intrusive. You can't let your mom be a Marie Barone.
Oh my God.
And just walk into your house
From Everybody
and just
Loves
starts,
Raymond.
judging everything.
Well, she's like a professional narcissist.
Right.
It's so bad.
Right. You can't, that's when you got to step up to your mom and be like, Mom, you got to respect my home, respect my wife. Right, because
Respect
now,
my marriage.
because now you have left their home, and now you have become your own man, and you become a husband, and you're a husband to your wife. So you got to protect that home, even if it's from your parents. You could do it. You could still do it respectfully and still respect your parents. I'm not talking about insult them and curse them and kick them out. Just lay down the law, and it's up to them to react respectfully or not respectfully.
You see that video going around social media of like the husband and wife, and then his mom, they're all going to get in the car, and then his mom, like he's driving, and his mom goes to get in the driver's side, the passenger side, and the wife is like, hold on.
Yeah.
Hold
I
on.
think I've seen that video.
What are you doing? What are you doing? But then like the husband doesn't step in and be like, Mom, you sit in the back, man.
Yeah.
Like my wife sits
Right.
here.
He was like, oh, but it's my mom.
So like,
yeah.
There's going to be issues if the lead of the house is not keeping that type of a situation in check.
Right, because you're not going to go, because at the end of the day, you're not going home with your mom. You're going home with your wife.
You've started a new family.
Yeah. So
you have your own family.
So here's the thing. I think with a lot of single moms, when they have boys, they want their boys to still take care of them. Look, I'm not talking about every single mom. Okay. I know some single moms out there who have boys and they're not like that. Mm-hmm. Right. But there are single moms who have boys and want their boys to take care of them. like because they don't have a husband, so it's like, well, I don't have a husband, but my son's a grown man, he can take care of me. Right? There are a lot of single moms like that. And then but the son needs to go and get married. So need to, that's I know.
No, I'm like, do you want me to press okay?
No. We're gonna have to end this because
looks like we have a battery situation.
No, it's not a battery. We're gonna end this on a note. We're gonna talk about the article in the next one. It's a famous person who's believing in biblical marriage, and so we'll talk about the next one. We're gonna end this because my SD card is running out of space, so this could cut out in any moment,
any second.
So we just wanted to kind of just talk about some Bible verses and what this is like, what we go by, what we try to go by, how we try to live our marriage. And hopefully
we're not perfect. We're not.
And there's so many more articles here. I'm looking at articles. There's a ton. Not articles, sorry, Bible verses. There's a lot of Bible verses here.
The articles of the Bible.
Yeah, well, it is article. Chapter 1, article 2.
Article,
I guess. Chapter 1, verse 2. Do you want to talk about article? I'm talking about the code book. Sorry. Electrical. Sorry, guys.
Code book, Bible,
same. Yeah. So, we're going to end it here, guys. So, thank you guys for listening. And I hope you found this informative and interesting. And definitely, if you're interested, look up some of these verses yourself. I'm going to leave a link in the description of where I was looking up these Bible verses so you can see them and reference them. So, but if you have any,
the conversation in the comments.
If you have any comments, leave comments in the comment section. And if you have anything you want us to talk about, let us know,
or
anything,
video,
or anything you disagree with. Let us know. Follow us on Instagram. We have a Instagram that is a joint Instagram. All right, you'll see here. Then we'll have a separate Instagram, and also follow us on TikTok. All right, and don't forget to subscribe
on YouTube.
Subscribe on YouTube. Yep, subscribe to our channel. And like the video and hit the notification bell. We appreciate that. If you definitely, if you're watching this video, like the video too. We would really appreciate it. And we would love it if you leave a comment, even if it says great video, just something we would love it. The comments, the likes will help us, help the algorithm. We really appreciate it because we do see people watching our videos, but we'd like to see the likes and the comments as well. So thank you guys. So we'll see you on the next one. Peace.